Jace.
Yeah.
And the coach came over and tapped on the back of Bertle's chair right as that came in, which is generally like, all right, we're giving you a chance. Let's see the carry, you know, like, let's go. I'm very curious to see his Wukong now because, again, we've only seen him on, I think, 3 games of Aurelia and 1 game of Jace. Not a huge pool of games to choose from.
If it's remotely similar to his Aurelia play, we're going to have a great game here. But I do think that the Wukong into the cannon, not the greatest of matchup. You don't really get to utilize the absurd amount of armor that you get as Wukong with your passive. In addition to that, cannon is a pick that can harass you very effectively. We've seen more and more airy cannon recently as well, which makes it even more obnoxious to play into early. And the team fighting power from this composition is incredible. However, a Wukong, even with an Aphelios Fresh, can be hard to deal with. You don't really have a reliable way of getting rid of those Cyclones, and then it's going to be who is a better ball delivery system. Is it, in this case, the Cyclone with the Wild Growth, which is disgusting? Is it an Olaf who gets ahead? Whereas on the bot side, I feel like with that Aphelios Fresh, if you get a single hook on someone like Life, and you can then follow up with some damage coming through from the jungle. Again, expecting a lot of volatility here, Valdez.
Should be fun. I am expecting a lot of bouncy castle business. And that always makes for a fun time. A lot of wombo combo in this one, especially from the side of Genji. Obviously, Orianna Ultimate can kind of do it by herself, but
there's so many like potential wombo combos that you can think about. It's like Explosive Cask into Cyclone, or Clid running into the enemy backline, getting Wild Growth, and then the Cyclone. Or if you're TWon, it's Slicing Maelstrom coming out of nowhere. Owner diving in really deep with a Resonating Strike after he has the Faker Ball on him into a mid-air Shockwave. Like, all these things are a possibility, and that's really exciting going into this game as Ruler, starting with tier, so going to give up a little bit of early game trading power in favor of hitting an earlier spike on that Muramana, and incredibly high win rate this split for the Olaf, which makes sense because we don't see a lot of him. So we're generally only going to see him in specific situations, and I wonder, because Olaf is a pick that is incredible once he gets going, especially when augmented by a Lulu. But we've also seen a lot of Olafs kind of fall flat. But if you think about the role that Clid has in this team, which is to facilitate and get his team through the early game, I do think it makes a lot of sense.
this is the first pick for Faker on the Orianna. And, you know, first pick for Kennen. I think that Kennen is slowly coming back into the meta nowadays. But interesting, you know, Faker has played a lot of Orianna in the past, obviously. But curious to see that this is his first time. Bertle first pick on Wukong, no surprise there.
As you pointed out, has not shown a lot of champion diversity, should also get decently bullied in the early game here, but feel like that becomes a stalemate kind of matchup once both players have reached level 6, where if you can try and kind of bait out the Slicing Maelstrom, you'll be fine. You have 2 Cyclones and your setup is great, but then do you really want to go into a cannon with Slicing Maelstrom? Probably not, as the hook it's dodged. No fear whatsoever. One life nowhere to up against, and I do like me some early game bot lane plays.
Yeah, I mean, it's body slam for life at level 1. So
yes.
Kind of the way that's going. Bertle up here. It's no call into this lane. We're not playing into Ornn. Playing for the Endurance Blade for Kana. Really trying to just pressure the Wukong out as much as possible is the name of the game. So you don't take this lane easy at all.
Clid now, level 4. Bertle gonna have a fresh TP coming in, but with Pryo on top, I don't know if they can go for a contest. Bertle decides against it after all. Clid already in position, also gonna have a level advantage here, so I don't think Owner can really contest, especially with BDD standing by.
Oh, Clid is gonna catch him here. Another undertow is going to Link, and there's the Ghost. Owner over the top. This time it does not land. So you can see a nice little fight here in the mid lane as well. The Dissonance does land and make BDD's life not very happy.
Unfortunate, as he is Lulu, who Fairly whimsical character, generally, but nicely done by Clid there. It's a summoner trade, but you are going to take that anytime. You're looking to exert as much early pressure as you can, and could still be looking towards a play on the bot side, get yourself a double scuttle, which you do indeed love as Olaf. Hey, picking up some extra creeps are helping BDD shove out the way so he can reliably back. Brutal, meanwhile, really waiting as long as possible, getting as much resources before he commits to actually backing, because once you do back and teleport back into this lane, you are fairly committed, right? Cannon's generally going to have to shove, and then post 6 you will have a little bit more threat, especially when Clid is not located by TWon.
So yeah, he's going to teleport up to the top side. It's a null magic mantle and a refillable. Definitely will make his life a little bit easier.
Fun back.
I mean, it's definitely not the most interesting one, but it's definitely going to give him a nice amount of sustainability on the top side.
Yeah, going to feel a lot better.
Tons of resistances overall, including this kit. And of course, some sustainability, so it doesn't get too far behind. It's a nice time to go for a back. As meanwhile, the bottom lane, you know, you give over Aphelios and Thrash to Gumayusi and Keria, you best expect that they are going to press their advantage as much as possible.
So pretty much, as you say exactly, you know that is happening, Faker. No, doesn't want to commit to the cheeky cancel. Understandably, if you walk up there, you don't really have vision, and you do get glitter lanced into an Olaf that runs on top of you, you're going to have to use your flash. You want to do that, it'll make you very sad.
Oh, here we go. Level 6 hit by Kana. But at the end of the day, it's mostly just going to clear out the wave. Obviously, not very fun for Bertle, but Clid has kind of just been playing janitor duty. Comes into the lanes that are not doing very well, and he just helps push back the wave.
Ooh, 3 people. But both have been spotted, as Owner going to clear out that ward. And yeah, Clid is doing exactly what we mentioned earlier, that he also does often on the volley, right, which is just, he's bodyguarding his lanes. However, one of the benefits of the Olaf is, of course, that his clear speed is incredible, and that means that in this scenario, he's able to promptly build himself up a sizable CS lead. Live, roaming on the Gragas, but not actually finding that much, and Bertle should slowly get into a position where he can stabilize.
Slowly.
Slowly. Not a fake. Goes for threatening trades. I think it's okay. If you get Kana low, you have ult advantage for, I'd say, another minute. So maybe you can try and get as much out of that as you'd possibly like. As Keria just says hello. Life is like, okay, if Keria's going back to his lane, I will too. That's fine. Don't mind that at all.
Seems like there were a couple of pings, maybe from actually Gen G on that brush. Maybe assuming that Kana had vision there. There was not a ward. Perhaps it had just expired as we're trying to get on top of Faker. This is that play that comes through as Faker will just phase rush his way out of danger.
Nice thing about that trade, though, is that Clid could now possibly look for some aggressive posturing towards either bot side or Drake, but with a lack of vision as well as a complete lack of priority for Ruler, who has been left in that lane by his lonesome, by his support, is somewhat of a risk. Hook not going to find anyone there from Keria. Life able to thank a minion for that. And because Clid is being tracked, it is kind of hard for him to get more done than just take care of his lanes. And the one downside of this composition is that while Gen G's mid game is incredible and they can still very much use that spike, it is relying on them fighting, right? Like once you hit your ultimate, BDD gets a first item, you finish your Gore Drinker, Bertle gets an item and has his ultimate available. That's when you want to go. That's when you want to try and build your leads as much as possible. Because if you go into mid to late game and even footing, it's really hard to kind of get back. And TWon recognizes that and picks himself up a free dragon here. Sneaky play there from Ona.
Yeah, sneaks on down. His bottom lane has been T1 territory for the entirety of the game, so it makes that
it's not a shocker.
Yeah. I think Gen G knew what they were getting themselves into. Or at least that's what I would like to imagine. Bertle says, okay, I guess I'm going to become the jungler and start up this Rift Herald. And he does have Clid nearby, although Keria now making his way up. We're actually looking to control vision and maybe fight here. Big undertow is going to hit Owner as he's just running through, and there is that combo. As he will have to flash away just like that. One gigantic, scary Olaf.
Wow, that's the decisiveness that you need to showcase as Gen G. However, Guma is also roaming up, and that might be enough of an advantage. Also, no prio available, and you did use 2 ultimates there. And as Gen G giving up this Rift Herald is a really rough look. Brutal also making his way up, and everyone is rotating. I don't know who's actually going to end up going for it, because it feels like the team that responds might have a great possible angle when everyone is grouped up. We do see Life moving closer. The ball is there.
Just way too many ultimates available for T1, though. You got the Moonlight Vigil, you have Shockwave, you have the Slicing Maelstrom. Even Kana's got a nice little angle here. The box comes down like...
The flash!
And here we go, we're jumping in. The Cyclone, the kick will deny it, and a huge Slicing Maelstrom into Shockwave combo. Who could have seen this coming? Well, we were just talking about it. They press all their buttons, and the flank does come in a huge manner. The only thing for Gen G is that they did pick up that Rift Herald.
And you get the Herald, but what does it cost you? Basically everything, as that kick from Owner was just beautiful. I love the call from Gen G in terms of how much they commit. Brutal flashing over that wall outside of vision and then finding an angle. But if Dragon Rage is available, it doesn't work. If there is a flank for Kana and he can just go in, flash into your backline with a Slicing Maelstrom, and Faker has the Shockwave as well, you've invested 2 ultimates into not actually killing someone, and you haven't made use of the time that provides you. Yeah, you're not going to win the fight. And now it is a 3k gold lead. I don't know if...
Yeah, he's fine.
It's a Lulu. And now it is a Drake advantage, a 3k gold lead, and I don't think this Gen G composition is going to have a good time. They can still win fights, but just look at this, because they know Birdo is going to be in the general vicinity. It's just... This kick immediately means that Guma and Carriot don't, or Guma and Owner rather don't get hit at all, and then this, yeah.
It's just, I mean, you're tracking ultimates. They have 5 ultimates.
야, 뒤에 걸어볼게. 야, 뒤에 걸어볼게.
Yep.
나이스, 야, 올라봐. 야, 도는 거 어땠어? 개지렸다 그냥.
How to do like my rotation, basically. And, I mean, he deserves to say, how do you like that? Because the other thing about this is that we saw that Bertle was kind of shadowing him up on the top side, saying, okay, yeah, Kana's coming around the back, but let me get in there first. So the second that the engage doesn't work, it's like, oh crap, Kennon's behind us.
Yeah, it's done.
So you know that the kick is available, yet you still commit to it. We've seen this a lot in the LCK where teams are just like, okay, it's first Rift Herald, we can't give this up, it's too valuable, we have to fight. And it was just, I just don't think that was the time for Gen G to go for the fight, and T1 executed it very nicely. As you mentioned, the kick was huge. Faker does have his flash, but it's going to be rough to get away from this one. Thankfully, Carrier is in position. Yet another reason why you don't like to give this pick over, although he will have to flash now.
Oh, BDD? Nope.
That's okay. Meanwhile, trying to get in here, he's got some help, and Owner's like, buddy, yeah, not going in on that one, especially with the teleport. So Kana gets in there, denied by Bertle.
That's not the kind of kills you want to give up. Feeding a Wukong is a great way to give away a surefire position there, and must be some miscommunication between Owner and Kana, but also without a stopwatch, I feel like that's a very greedy play to go for. As look at itemization from Bertle, right? There's a lot of magic resist, there's already some health stacking going on with the Ruby Crystal and the Doran's Shield.
Right, really trying to put that pressure down, and the Moonlight Vigil might just be enough. The exhaust is so crucial for keeping him alive. As meanwhile, Bertle might just die here. One auto, and down he goes. So we'll have to see that one. There was no Slicing Maelstrom for the cannon. Maybe he just face-checked and died. We'll have to see.
Pretty sure it was, I need to shove this wave into Kauna's teleport into, I'm dead, guys. I'm very sorry. Yeah, the classic greed for the shove that I'm sure we're all familiar. Faker ulting to bring some fear into the hearts of Gen G. And also, there is a Drake online. So health trading right now is looking pretty peachy. Bertle also teleporting towards topside, which basically says to Gen G, or 2 T1 rather, yeah, you can go for the Drake. We don't really mind, as that is not the best position for Shelly.
Yeah, the question mark ping from T1 kind of tells the story. Faker no flash this time. Nice dodge on the undertow. But once he dodges that undertow, even with the wild growth and the Ragnarok, they're still not going to commit, with T1 having a lot of control over the river and the Dragon Pit. Now, no plates, as they did just go down. That's the timing of the Rift Herald drop in your own jungle. Gets a bit of damage, but that's about it. Remember, that's all they got from diving in there into 5 T1 ultimates. And all they get is a chunk onto the top turret.
Yeah, it's just looking impeccable here for T1, making such good use. That one skirmish coming up really big. And now, as T1, I think you need to just play for safety. Make sure that you don't get caught out. The play that Kana made on top side, it's high risk and the reward is negligible. You don't need to make plays like that to get out in this game, because you already have a 4K gold lead. You have an amazing teamfight composition. You're going to be able to pick up first turret blood right here. Even further widening your gold lead. And unless Gen.G find a miracle engage, Olaf can come up absolutely huge with a Lulu ultimate, or Ruler somehow gets a couple of kills in him. It's a really hard game for Gen.G, and T1, they definitely have a composition. They can just group us 5 and this game.
So this was the first dive where Kana kind of got himself into trouble. It's getting a little bit over-aggressive, I think. Maybe the communication, as you mentioned, not quite there, as...
오마테인데 집 끊었어.
Yep.
I found him.
어?
Yeah,
잡았는데?
I think I got him.
Yep. Feels good.
No. Got it done. That's it's pretty annoying to get away from the little Pikachu cannon, of course. And wow, Gumiusi actually able to land that one. Looking for the fights, but here comes everybody from Gen.G except Bertle.
Everyone's here.
And yeah, Gumi's like, well, I guess I gotta turn this because I'm dead otherwise, and he might just be able to. Gets the flash, and now the play, trying to get in there, and he gets the hit, and down he will go. But they're able to trade the 1-for-1. Now Carry is in a rough spot, but the team is rotating now. And he will be able to, well, he will be able to run and buy a lot of time for Shirley to be taken by T1.
Good enough. You'll take that trade.
Oh! The Hex Flash play.
Nice.
Didn't come through. I like the idea, Carria. You get bonus points.
Emote as well. That gets you extra points
sure.
for style.
Look at the goal difference now.
I'd rather not tell this. Our first 2 games were very competitive until the very end. This one, more of a blowout. With that early fight going as poorly as it did, just not as much respite available, and Ruda is probably fine here. Had Carrier not been there, really nice setup life, unfortunately not able to save the life of his AD carry. And while all of this is happening, Owner's like, yeah, it's, I don't know, guys. I'm taking Harrow. I'm not gonna be part of this party. Carrier, some extra emoting. In the end, Hex Flash not actually getting anything done.
Yeah, Bertle did flash in.
Yeah.
So, you know, you waste some time. You get the flash.
It's a big win.
I feel like he could have just ran through the enemy jungle, but with the Gragas there, it probably would have been a bit rough to actually survive. So
probably would have gotten blown up.
Yeah.
And yeah, the idea behind Lulu being behind, I think, is fine. But being behind by 2K is not amazing. And then the character that is supposed to be ahead is your Olaf. And he has a gold lead, but it's like 270 gold, which doesn't really buy you anything relevant in the League
buy a
of
refillable
Legends.
pot.
Yeah, but you already had that. Yeah, that's
true, yeah.
That's not the type of...
You get refillable and 1 control ward with 250.
Oh, I like your optimism.
A little bit to spare, you know, maybe you go futures market, you send it into like a ruby crystal.
Yeah,
who knows?
Sounds good.
Possibilities are endless, but... Okay,
Oh.
nice little flank angle here, and this is actually going to be really fantastic as in he goes, and the follow-up body slam is huge, but the damage coming out from Kana is way too much on the backside. Carry and Faker are zoned out. as they're not able to do too much. Bertle's still alive, but Owner just going to take the easy way out there ahead 2-1. But too healthy are the side of Gen G, and they will push them back, staying alive with a really awesome flank from Bertle.
Ooh, that was a high-risk moment, but TWon are able to actually execute on it. Do have to invest a lot of summoners into staying alive here, but should still be able to pick up a soul point without so much as a hitch. And this is where you run into the trouble. If this is a relatively easy situation as Gen G, you can win that fight easy peasy. You'll be completely okay, you'll be able to blow up multiple members, but because the lead for TWon is so big, even a multi-man flank coming through here from Bertle is not enough. And then the immediate turn that comes out here as well from Kana.
It's huge.
Him and Owner immediately blow up Ruler, and Kana's ultimate there is so pivotal because it zones out the entirety of Gen G that are looking to follow up on the play that was made by Bertle and by Life, right? Who flashed in to make sure that that engage actually comes through. And Klid can get through because he is Olaf, he is Ghost, and he is Ragnarok, but that alone is not enough damage. You need Ruler to get off more substantial damage, and if you hit a true shot barrage though, right? If you don't immediately die, you can still turn that, and it does show that yes, this gold lead is immense, TWon is immensely favored in this game, but they still need to respect. Pushing up that far to just kind of siege at an inhibitor turret, when the Drake is coming up, when you can just go into the enemy jungle, choke out vision, and not take such risks, would be preferable.
It was super cool to see the immediate reaction of Kana, who, you know, sometimes, like we saw earlier on in this game, it looks a little bit silly. You're going ultra aggressive for some crazy dive and you go down. But moments like that remind you what this guy is capable of and how he is able to immediately respond. It's pretty nice to see. And he really just did too much. Like, you're not supposed to survive 4-man Cyclone into 3-man Body Slam. Like, you're supposed to lose that fight, even from ahead. But really nicely done. Gen G, they're still very much on the back foot. This is soul point for TWon. They're still 7,000 gold ahead. It's only 21 minutes into the game, which makes this even more severe. And the carries on the side of TWon are pretty gigantic. Even Owner, once again, another very consistent game. Not missing a beat. Immediately gets into the back line as well, as you mentioned. This time around, Faker, extremely fed. Also, really insane CS on the side of Mumiusi. He's ahead of everybody by at least 25. And should be doing a lot of carrying.
While the early game macro from TWon has been very consistent, where they're able to just get plates, get turrets, outtrade you in objectives, that fight at the Rift Herald was the first time that they were able to win a straight-up fight in a very decisive manner. Right? We've seen them win skirmishes. Of course, they won the team fight in the first game where Life went in very deep, but the consistent theme in this series has been TWon, better in macro, but Gen G able to out-execute in team fights every now and then. And to see them pivot away from that, to put Kana on a straight-up team fighting carry, and Gen G not really having an answer, is a good look for TWon.
They're
look at that health.
And Bertle, he's got a nice ward there, but it did just expire. As we are waiting, and here we go. In comes the Wukong, but that Baron is getting so low, and you cannot deny the Olaf, and he will not be denied the Baron as a massive shockwave, though, into the slicing Maelstrom. Do they have the damage? Ruler's got a lot of room here, but it doesn't matter. The Wombo combo and the wallets are too big on the side of TWon. They lose the Baron, and they just barely eke out the fight.
That's perfect for Gen G. That's going to give you so much more time. And as you point out, you can't deny Olaf. You can't flip it like that. You know exactly what is going to happen. And crucially, this Baron pickup should lead to a denial of the Ocean, so at least for the upcoming Drake. As they know this is happening, Klid just goes in, has of course the Reckless Swing combined with the Smite, uses that very, very nicely. But then also, BDD just delaying Kana for a split second there by using the immediate wild growth on himself. Ruler's positioning here was super crisp. And then Bertle's Cyclone buying so much more time. And with that Mystic shot, Ruler still being full health, as TWon, you're like, no, we're not gonna give him the opportunity. Absolutely not. And yes, there is still a gold lead, but maybe the power of this Baron buff is enough to get some shove going. If you can shove them out, And for Gen G, this is still a must-win fight. And T1 clearly saying, we don't care. We are fighting to the death for this Ocean Soul. We will pick this one up. And if I was them, I can't fold them. All ultimates are going to be available, and it's going to come down to execution here again. Still heavier wallets for T1.
Yeah. And it's a little bit less this time, obviously. It's about 5,500 gold.
Ooh,
Gen G are absolutely, if they set up another play like that.
Ooh, that's a deep flank. They don't know.
Yep, Bertle's back there. And here comes Kana. Oh, spotted. Okay, they know where the Wukong is, and they're on the chase. They're actually trying to get on top of him, but he's able to get away.
Oh, I love that. It's the fake out.
Thanks, Jonas Strong.
Are now aware, though. And
Gen G.
they're going to flip it.
Yep, you're just gonna hope and Clid. I hope he's got the golden smite button. Do they have the damage? Yes, they will. They zone him away, and Bertle does a good job as well. Has to go into his stopwatch as Kana's looking for the flank. It's not as crisp this time. They're able to zone him away, but still it's 2 kills for the side of T1. And now the Ragnarok'd up. Olaf is not quite able to commit as hard on into that one. Gen G, they stop the Ocean Soul, though, and they keep this game potentially alive.
And it's hard to push in because, yes, you can now go for the shove, but the moment, 20 seconds still left on the Baron buff, it's a negative gold Baron power play, but you still take it. You deny the soul. Even worse with that turret going down. But Gen G, really true in spirit to the series does, for the clinging on for dear life to this game, not wanting to let go. The collapse on the Wukong doesn't actually come through. Yes, Bertle's died. This has another big impact in this fight, and I just can't believe Gen G is able to somehow make these team fights look close. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. It's a lot of respect being shown by T1 as well.
It's also how they play around this, right? Because they know that Kana is there. And then Ruda going in for an aggressive E, still to be fine. If that shield doesn't come through for Kana, then maybe Clid gets a kill there, and then they might be looking into a turn, but now can't really afford that. And it is, again, the back and forth. These two huge zoning ultimates between the Slicing Maelstrom and between the Cyclone are really dictating the pace of these huge fights, right? Where either team needs to 100% play around, because yes, the shockwave is really big, but those at least you can kind of mitigate. You can see them, you can try and play around the ball, you can flash them as well. Whereas for Cyclone and Slicing Maelstrom, that's, once they're on top of you,
yeah,
it's donezo.
We will continue with this game. I think if T1 were able to somehow pick up the Ocean Soul,
that should be the nail in the coffin.
It would probably just be over.
Yeah.
Gen G, they lost a bunch from really trying to secure that, and yes, they're hanging on for dear life, right? It's like they're on the edge of a cliff, and they're holding on. And T1, they are being relentless. I love the decisiveness with a lot of their plays that they have been doing so far, especially pushing lanes. They're like, the second they see anyone on the side of Gen G out of position, they're like, nope, we go top, we push and move back immediately. And it's been like this very often in the mid lane, playing around objectives. They have tons of vision in the enemy jungle as well. It's all decisive as a team, very well communicated, and they get another turret because of it.
And I'm really glad you pointed out, because it is exactly what was missing for T1 for so long. It just felt like the team knew what to do for the first 15 minutes in the game, and then just kind of sat there, right? Like farmed up, was waiting for the enemies to maybe make a mistake, overextend into them. And as you point out, like, I think T1 is still immensely favored in this game. If everything goes reasonably and Gen G don't find insane team fights or super high value flanks from Bertle, they should be able to close out this game without too much issue. But regardless of that, like, this is a T1 that's looking completely revitalized and is much more in line with kind of what we expected from this roster, right? Like, so much more aggression. Their macro that used to only be strong in the first 10 to 15 minutes really amped up to the max. And while I don't think this Gen G composition really hits the mark, it is still, to me, a sign that they're able to experiment a lot more now that they have Bertle and are trying to diversify their playstyle, which I think is a huge boon for the LCK as well, especially a team like Gen G that has been so often called very one-dimensional, always goes for the same things.
Yeah.
As 1 minute till the Drake.
Yeah, all it comes down to this. Outside of the last Drake fight we have, T1 were able to push mid, go top, push top, get a couple of inner turrets, extend that gold lead. Are they just going to do it again?
No, they wouldn't. Surely not.
I mean, they do have great turn, and they do have potential flank angles with the cannon. But again, you're not denying the Olaf. So you got to know what you're getting yourself into. As Bertol, he's just looking for the cannon, trying to get on top of Kana here. He's going for the 1v1. As T1 say, good luck, Kana. We're going for the Drake. As Clid, he's just getting in there, but he doesn't have too much support. He's going to stay alive as the Ragnarok's still here. The poke damage trying to come out. They lost the cannon, and now they're trying to get in. They kill the Olaf and get the Baron, and now life goes down. And T1 will be able to turn this Bertol. Desperate to try to survive, but he cannot alone. And now T1 triple kill on Gumayusi, and they're pushing top. They do not care about the dragon.
And that should be it here, Veldes. And I get the call to try and take down Kana, but maybe just scare him off and then still hard commit, because the key thing there was BDD wasn't there. BDD was helping Bertol because he does not win that 1v1 alone due to the lead that T1 has. And
Ruler. Oh man, there it is!
God!
It's nuke from range, and now you lost your 80 carry. And yes, there are a couple of members coming up soon, but I don't think it matters. Gumayusi is still alive, and they have Baron buff. I think T1 have done it. Let's see if Genji can pull off the miracle hold. Life runs in to his death, and so will the Olaf. Ridiculous amounts of sustain, but it just does not matter. As Gumayusi, 11 kills in this game, and they will be able to shut it down. T1 take a gigantic victory here, leading into playoffs 2-1 now in this best of 3, as they will overcome Genji once again in summer.
And this is the kind of best of 3 that leaves you wanting more, Veldes. That's like, why is this not 5 games? Because the constant back and forth, the diversity in draft, and knowing T1 and Genji, at some point, hopefully, we do get that playoffs matchup. And I need your help, because I don't know whether to vote for Guma's Phelios or Kana's Cannon. Not entirely sure, and I need your feedback. You know, give me the split. Nah, it's too late. I made the call.
That's your decision.